apparently they still in the house. It's still a very, very, very live crime scene. Where I'm standing, I can see the investigators in the house looking by the stairs. If you done seen the photos and the pictures, then y'all know what I mean by the stairs. Door's still wide open. Like I say, I see them in there taking pictures. You can kind of see them in there, been in there and taking pictures and things like that. A lot of shell casings on the ground too.
We're learning more about the victims in a shooting at a Dallas short-term rental home.
Police say 3 people were killed. Another victim is expected to survive.
Police say the party was packed, and at some point, people upstairs started shooting at people downstairs.
I was told that whoever was shooting was upstairs, shooting downstairs. I'm just like, why? It's heartbreaking.
That's still my little baby. That's still my little baby.
The same day she was getting a fresh haircut and getting ready to throw a party, somebody had already posted her photo online. And the caption read, "All jokes aside, if she came out the store this day, y'all would have been saying, rest in peace." She saw it. She threw the party anyway. And by 12:20 that same night, 3 people were dead inside a rented house on Vilbig Street in West Dallas. Shell casings on the ground. Investigators at the stairs. A neighborhood that had seen its share of trouble, but not a night like this one. Her name was Jaiclyn Scott, 20 years old. The streets called her Slimey, and the moment word got out that she was gone, the reaction was something I have never quite seen before. People were not mourning, they were celebrating. Strangers were flooding her family's pages with everything she had allegedly done to them while she was alive. And her aunt went on Facebook Live, raw, crying, angry, and said something that stopped the entire internet cold. But here's the part that really sat with me. 2 other people died in that house beside her that night. A 19-year-old girl who had just graduated and was stepping into a brand new chapter of her life, and a 24-year-old man who allegedly just tried to help when everything went wrong. And that is what made this whole thing so hard to process. Because if the family knew how she was living, and by their own words, they did, why did it take 3 people dying for any of it to matter? That is what we are getting into today. If this is the kind of content that matters to you, please take a second right now to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell too. It really does help this channel more than you know. Jaclyn Scott was 20 years old, from West Dallas. She went by Slimey Scott, or JCO. And honestly, to look at her, you might not have immediately put together the kind of reputation that name carried. She was small, physically tiny, a young woman who identified as a stud. Her family described her as the loud, funny, outspoken baby of the bunch, the one who had finally grown into herself, the one who was just out living her life, that energy, loud, alive, like she had something to say about everything and was never going to stop saying it. That was the version her family knew. And I think it matters that you see that before anything else, because what I am about to tell you is heavy. And it is a lot easier to dismiss a name and a reputation than it is to dismiss a real person. Outside those walls, though, the streets had built a very different picture of who Jaclyn was. Public records show that as recently as September 2025, just a few months before all of this happened, she had been arrested for assault. But people who came forward after her death described something that had been going on much longer than one arrest. Robberies, fights, allegedly shooting at people's homes, moving through her own neighborhood in a way that left a trail of people with real, documented reasons to be afraid of her. And she had been doing this for years. That is the part I kept coming back to. She was 20 years old, and she had already built a name that entire neighborhoods recognized. Which means this started early. Which means somewhere along the way, every warning sign was either missed or ignored or accepted as just how things were going to be. Her nickname was not an accident. Slimey. That is not what your family calls you. That is what the streets name you when they have watched, up close, over and over again, how you move. And she moved like there was never going to be a consequence. The man who grew up on those same streets in West Dallas, Pastor Earl Thomas, knew those blocks. He had seen that energy before. And when he heard what happened inside that Airbnb, even he could not make sense of it. Heartbreaking was the word he used.
I was told that whoever was shooting was upstairs, shooting downstairs. I'm just like, why? It's heartbreaking.
Before we get into what happened that night, I need to stop and talk about the other two people who lost their lives. Because in a lot of the coverage around this story, Jaclyn's name and her reputation took up most of the attention. And Journey Griffin and Jaden Cooper deserve a lot more than a footnote. Journey Griffin was 19 years old, just 19, and she had just graduated.
We miss you.
Her 2025 graduation photo was one of the first things her family shared with the news after she was killed. A graduation photo, the kind of picture you frame, the kind of milestone that is supposed to be the beginning of everything. Not the end. Her mother gave a statement afterward. She said her daughter had just reached a major milestone in graduating, that she was stepping into a new chapter of her life with dreams, that she was deeply loved, that the memories she created would continue to live on through her family. Stepping into a new chapter of her life with dreams. That is who Journey Griffin was the night she walked into that house on Vilbig Street. Jaden Cooper was 24 years old. The people who loved him held a balloon release for him after he was gone.
The balloons got stuck. Like that, what did you
do? 24 years old, balloons going up into a sky in West Dallas, because he allegedly tried to help someone in the middle of chaos, and it cost him everything. Both of them, Journey and Jaden, by the accounts that spread online after the shooting, were people who tried to help Jaclyn when the shooting started, and both of them were shot in the process. Both later died from their injuries. And that detail sat heavier on people following this story than almost anything else, because whatever anyone felt about Jaclyn and her reputation, Journey and Jaden were not the ones who were supposed to be anywhere near this outcome. So let me take you back to May 26th, 2026, Memorial Day weekend. Jaclyn decided to throw a party at an Airbnb on the west side of Dallas, Vilbig Street, right near CF Carr Elementary School. A real neighborhood, houses, families, people who have lived on those blocks for a long time. Earlier that same day, she was out getting a fresh haircut, getting herself together for the function, moving like it was any other weekend. Nothing on her face that said she had any idea what was coming. And that is when the photo went up. Somebody posted a picture of her inside a store, and the caption read, "All jokes aside, if she came out the store this day, y'all would have been saying, rest in peace." That was not venting. That was not somebody just talking. That was somebody who already knew exactly what the temperature was around Jaclyn Scott, and they posted it publicly. On the same afternoon she was getting ready to host a house full of people. She saw it, and she threw the party anyway. The Airbnb on Vilbig Street filled up, dice games going, music playing, Memorial Day weekend in full effect inside that house. And then just after midnight, everything went wrong. At approximately 12:20 in the morning on Monday, May 26, 2026, Dallas police responded to the 3700 block of Vilbig Road near Homeward Street. Multiple shots fired. When officers arrived, 4 people had been shot inside that Airbnb. 2 died at the scene. A third was transported to the hospital and later died. A fourth survived in stable condition. The 3 who lost their lives were identified as Jaclyn Scott, 20 years old, Journey Griffin, 19 years old, and Jaden Cooper, 24 years old. Now, according to witnesses and information that spread online almost immediately after the shooting, this is what allegedly happened inside that house. 3 to 4 people, uninvited, allegedly pulled up to that party knowing 2 very specific things. 1, there was dice gambling happening inside. 2, Jaiclyn herself was one of the people playing. Witnesses said the shooters came in through the back of the house, and they started firing almost immediately after entering. Jaiclyn ran. She tried to hide in the bathroom. They allegedly forced her out, she was shot, and her jewelry was taken off her body right there. Now, that detail, her running, her hiding in that bathroom, I kept thinking about that. Because, by every account, this was someone who had moved through those streets for years without blinking. Someone who had allegedly taken from people, shot at people, made people afraid in their own neighborhood. And in the moment it finally came for her, she ran and she hid. Which tells you something. In that bathroom alone, she knew exactly what was happening. She knew what she had put out there, and she knew it had come back. And then Journey and Jaden allegedly tried to help her, and both of them were shot, and both of them died. This case also brought renewed attention to short-term rentals in Dallas. There was another shooting just blocks away the same weekend, tied to a party at a different short-term rental. Same weekend, blocks away, a completely separate party at a completely separate short-term rental. Another shooting. And Dallas city leaders were already in meetings trying to figure out what to do, while Journey Griffin's family waited for answers while planning her funeral. 3 families, planning funerals, and the city in a meeting arguing about ordinances. And as of the time the news covered this, no arrests had been made.
The most urgent task for detectives this morning is finding whoever shot these people. Police say they haven't made any arrests yet.
People who walked through that back door that night are still out there. The moment word spread that Jaclyn Scott was gone, social media did not respond the way it normally does when a young person dies. There was no broad outpouring of community grief. There was celebration. And I want to be clear. I am not co-signing that reaction. Celebrating someone's death is its own kind of darkness, regardless of what they did. But I also think it's important to understand why it happened, because it did not come from nowhere. One of the posts that went the most viral came from a man identified online as Dean Turner. He wrote, "Same little stud who broke into my house twice died last night. Karma, now rest in piss, old dead ass." That is not a stranger talking. That is someone who had been living with what she did to him. She allegedly broke into his house, not once, twice, and he never got justice for it. So when she was gone, that was the only thing he had left to say. Someone else came forward saying Jaiclyn and her people had previously shot at their mother's home. Others described robberies, confrontations, years of moving carefully in their own neighborhood because of her. And while all of that was pouring out about Jaiclyn, condolences for Journey and Jaden were flooding in from every direction. Real grief, heavy grief, for 2 young people who had nothing to do with why any of this started. But outside her close circle, the reaction to Jaclyn's death was something else entirely. People quoted scripture, people said karma. And as uncomfortable as some of it was to read, the message underneath all of it was consistent. She had spent years making life very hard for a lot of people. And a lot of those people finally felt like they could breathe. And then the harassment started spilling directly onto her family's pages. People flooding her Aunt Monique's Facebook with stories, insults, videos of the scene. And that is when Monique went live.
Why people act like they family members perfect? My niece, she was out here. If she did a few things she ain't supposed to do, y'all act like y'all family perfect. Y'all getting on, because I'm getting pissed off. Y'all keep getting on my page, posting stuff, saying she did this, she did that. Y'all got family members out here doing shit too. All we can do is tell her what to do, what not to do. Everybody got family members who ain't living right. Do that mean she need to die? Y'all won't want nobody getting on Facebook saying, oh, they said she was doing this. Oh, they said your family member was doing this. That's crazy. Everybody got family members who don't live right. Like, y'all need to stop that shit. Like, y'all crazy on here. Like, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but it's pissing me off. Because we don't care how she was living. Of course, you want everybody to lives right, but that don't mean she needed to die. Cause y'all got people, y'all got little cousins, uncles, cousins who out here doing shit they don't supposed to do. Is y'all on there telling them, oh, when they die, oh, they did this?
Now, whatever your reaction is going to be, and people had very strong reactions, I will get to that. This is a woman who just lost her niece. Grief does not come out organized. Grief does not come out fair. Monique pushed back on everyone flooding her page with stories about what Jaiclyn had allegedly done. She said everybody has family members who are not living right. She asked whether that means they deserve to die. She said all they could do was talk to her and tell her what not to do. She said they knew how she was living. They had talked to her. They were not naive about it. And then she said the line that stopped the entire internet cold. We don't care how she was living. Now, in the full context of what Monique was saying, she meant we love her regardless. That was her point. Love does not have conditions in a family, I understand that. But to the man whose house got broken into twice and never got justice, to the family whose mother's home got shot at, to everyone who had been living carefully around Jaiclyn for years, hearing a family member say, "We don't care how she was living," out loud felt like a confirmation of exactly what they had always believed, that the people closest to her had known and had looked the other way anyway. Monique also said Jaiclyn still had time, that she could have changed, that nobody wanted her dead, that they were not acting like she was an angel, that they were not going to let strangers flood their pages while they were trying to grieve. And in her final video, she said the thing that actually landed hardest for me personally, because it was the most honest moment across everything she posted. She said, "They know what comes with the streets. They know. They don't need anyone telling them how Jaiclyn was living. They already knew." Now, here's what I think is fair to say about all of that. Flooding a grieving family's page with graphic content and insults, that crossed a line. Full stop. Grief is grief. And a family losing a 20-year-old is painful, no matter who that 20-year-old was. Nobody should have been doing that. That part of the internet reaction was wrong. But what thousands of people kept coming back to, and you could feel it in comment after comment, was not the grief itself. It was the silence around everything else. At no point across any of those videos did Monique say anything about the people Jaiclyn had hurt. Not one word about the man whose house got broken into. Not one word about the family whose mother's home got shot at. Not once did she say Journey's name or Jaden's name. Two people who died in that same house. Two families who are also planning funerals. And for the people who had been living with what Jaiclyn had done to them for years, that silence said everything they needed to hear. I keep going back to something. Jaiclyn was 20 years old. She had a whole life sitting in front of her. Her aunt said she was loud and funny and outspoken. Her family said she had finally grown into herself. And if you look at any footage of her just being herself, laughing, talking, moving through the world with that energy she had, you can see it. There was a person in there, a real person, not just a reputation. And she was 20 years old. That means everything that allegedly happened, the robberies, the fights, the arrests, the years of other people being afraid, all of that had been going on for most of her adult life. And nobody found a way to stop it. Not the streets, not the system, not the family who by their own words had talked to her and knew exactly what was going on. Not even the warning posted publicly on the day of the party. She was 20 years old and she had already run out of road. That is the thing about this lifestyle that people do not say out loud enough. It does not give you a long warning. It does not wait for you to be ready. It just closes in, quietly at first, then all at once. And by the time you are hiding in a bathroom at a party, you threw yourself. It is already too late to make a different choice. Journey Griffin's mother said her daughter was stepping into a new chapter of her life with dreams. That line hit me hard the first time I read it, and it still does. Because that is what 20 years old is supposed to look like. New chapters. Dreams. A graduation photo on the wall. Journey had that. And she walked into that house on Vilbig Street. And she never walked back out. Jaden Cooper was 24. The people who loved him released balloons into the sky for him. And Jaclyn Scott, whatever she was in those streets, however many people she had hurt, however many warnings she had ignored, her family gathered for her too. Her aunt said it, voice cracking, in the middle of the night on Facebook Live. "That's still my little baby. That's still my little baby." And that is real. That grief is real. And it deserved better than what social media gave it. What is also real is that the people who walked through the back door of that Airbnb that night, the ones who forced Jaclyn out of that bathroom, who shot Journey and Jaden in the process, they are still out there. As of the time this story was covered, Dallas police had not made a single arrest. Detectives were asking anyone who was at that party or in the area of Vilbig Street in the early hours of that Monday morning to come forward and contact them. 3 people gone, a 4th recovering. 3 families changed forever. And the question that has been sitting underneath this whole story from the beginning still does not have a clean answer. How does someone spend years operating the way Jaclyn allegedly operated, in her own neighborhood against people she passed on the street every day, and nothing stops it before it reaches this point? I do not have a clean answer to that. I do not think anybody does. What I do know is this: that lifestyle does not care how young you are. It does not care how funny you are, or how loud, or how much your family loves you. It does not make exceptions for people who think they are untouchable. And it does not warn you when it is almost over. Jaiclyn Scott was 20 years old. She was somebody's baby, and she still had time. Her aunt said it herself. She just did not use it. Rest in peace, Journey Griffin. Rest in peace, Jaden Cooper. And for Jaclyn, may the people who come after her choose differently, while they still can. If you made it to the end of this one, thank you for being here. These stories are not easy to sit with, but I think they matter. Like and subscribe if this is the kind of content that means something to you. Share it if you feel like somebody in your life needs to hear this story. And I will see you on the next one.